Let's try to be positive about this. I know that's a hard thing for us to do, but could the move to Sacramento work?
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, A's fans. Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about your Oakland A's all year long. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please, 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 I'm begging you, call me Sully. I've been a baseball podcaster for well over a decade now, and this is my sixth full season here at the Locked On Podcast Network, and I've been the host of Locked On MLB for the last 6 years, and this is my first year also hosting the Locked On A's podcast. Find us at Locked On A's on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and on Instagram, and you can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, and if you're listening to us every single day, make sure to put a hashtag EverydayA's if you follow and put comments on any of our sites, including YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe and do all that stuff you need to do. Oh, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, I will remind you, apply. Hey, someone asked me, why do I do that intro where I kind of introduce who I am and everything like that? Part of that is because we've seen over the last few weeks, some more people have been discovering this podcast, especially people who are A's fans who are seeing there are not a lot of daily A's podcasts going on. And that's one of the reasons why I came up to the Locked On folks when we didn't have an A's host. And I said, I'll take over. Just let me go. Just let me go. So that's why I do it. New people come each week, and I'm just making sure they know who the heck is this guy. This show is being dropped on the 23rd day of May. It is Thursday, and you'll forgive me, I'm not covering the game on Wednesday. The episode is going to drop tomorrow. We'll cover the Wednesday and Thursday games, just because I wanted to bring this topic up, because I'd like to hear A's fans' opinions on this. And also, let's be honest, this is, in some ways, we know this is not going to be a great season for us. Also, I'm recording this a little bit ahead of time because the Wednesday game hasn't been played yet. When I'm recording this, for time reasons, I got to record this a little, or just trust me, I got reasons for doing this. But I wanted to talk about this for a second with you, with A's Nation. Is that what it is? The A's are moving. We all know that. There's no hope of having them stay in Oakland. That ship has sailed. The chance of the Howard Terminal and Mills College, or was it Laney College? I'm sorry, Laney College or Jack London Square, or right next to the Coliseum, or maybe Fremont or San Jose, whatever. It's over. Which is one of the reasons why I'm urging you to go to the Rockies matchups, to go to the Astros matchup. When the Mariners and the Blue Jays show up in June, go to those games. Just have one or two more times at the Coliseum before they scram. So we have to move on. Plan A was they stay. That's not happening. And it's really, really, really feeling like Las Vegas is falling apart, doesn't it? I've seen moves that were a lot closer to the date of a move completely collapse and fall apart. I mean, I'm remembering the Giants move to Tampa Bay. They were printing shirts out, and they had a freaking stadium to go to. And it was all but locked in. Not locked on, but locked in. I've seen when the Patriots were getting this close to moving to St. Louis. Remember that? Remember that alternate history that was out there? That actually almost happened at one point. And there have been moments where I remember at one point the New Jersey Devils hockey team was this close to becoming the Nashville, obviously not Devils. I'm not going to go in the Bible Belt and call a team the Devil. But who knows? Maybe they would have been the Nashville Predators. I don't know. This is years in advance, the Vegas move. Not one shovel has been put into the ground. Not one. I mean, think about all the things. I mean, I've made this point before. Think of all the things they don't have: a stadium, design, a secure location, or money to build a stadium, or a city that really seems that thrilled that they're showing up. I mean, they could say, hey, we want a baseball team, but we don't want to do business with these schmucks. Fisher's a schmuck. And Vegas, a city built on schmuckdom, is not exactly loyal to anybody. They knock down things that they just built. They shot Mo Green in the eye. So, I mean, the idea of there's any loyalty to the Oakland A's and John Fisher in this plan, when they could say, you know what? I don't know. We're going to build another pyramid or orb, or we're going to build another a zip line, or we're going to create Timbuktu Casino or something where what was it called? The God, why can I not remember the name of anything? I was going to say the Flamingo, the Tropicana. There's no loyalty to the Tropicana, even though that was featured in the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever. They'll knock stuff down left and right. And they don't care. They say, you know what? This whole A's thing, this is a mess. The stadium's going to be expensive. It's going to be empty most of the time. No one in the city cares about the A's. We'd rather have our own team. Kick rocks. It doesn't matter. We don't have a design. There's nothing. And they can pull the plug on that, plunk, and be like, yeah, we're done. We're done. We'd rather not deal with you right now. We'd rather deal with an expansion team or something like that. We don't want to deal with you. They have nothing. They have no reason to work with the A's. And so there is a real possibility that wouldn't work, especially if someone comes up and pitches, hey, I have another idea that will make, here we go. I have an idea that will make 1 penny more than the A's. Well, we better run with that one. Oh, no, we'll lose face. We'll lose face for what? Not bringing the A's to a city that's not exactly clamoring for them? I have no doubt that they would want to embrace an expansion team. They don't want to deal with this, and they don't want to deal with Fisher. Which means, again, reason 9,746 why this whole move makes no sense. It's been an absolute cataclysmic disaster, and everyone involved should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. So how do we make lemonade? We make lemonade by realizing that the move to Sacramento, while far from ideal, may wind up being, I don't know, not a total disaster for A's fans. It may not be ideal, but it could create a different type of fan base for the team. Now, albeit one that reminds me of another team that's kind of sort of a little bit in trouble, also because of their ownership, but I'm 100% convinced that a new ownership for both of these teams could create an interesting and lucrative, again, I'm not a communist, I'm not a socialist, I'm someone who's like, hey, this could be a success. The reason why I don't think Las Vegas is going to be a success is because I think the city isn't embracing, they don't want this team, and that's not a good market for baseball. But maybe, just maybe, if things unfold and unpack in a certain way in Las Vegas, maybe things could go a little better than people are giving them credit for, or giving the whole notion that a move to Sacramento, not ideal, but there are reasons why we shouldn't give up hope, and maybe the A's themselves should make lemonade in Sacktown. Now, you need tickets. You got tickets for the final A's game? Well, what about other tickets? What about other tickets for other baseball games or concerts or basketball games? When the Sharks are going to be starting up at the end of the summer, the beginning of the fall, when the Warriors get going, whatever team you want to go for, What you should be using? You should be using Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on Game Time actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying baseball tickets. And you can pick specific games, you can pick the specific tickets, and the specific sections that you want. You get flash deals. You save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game. And the zone deals. I love these. You could save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time pick the seats that'll give you the best deal. All in prices. You can get the no surprise fees, no hidden fees, and it's the lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying baseball tickets, Major League tickets, with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Did you hear me? Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, you redeem the code. Easy for you to say, LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. The lowest price. You do what they are, I'll tell you what they are. They're guaranteed. Hey, let's head over to our friends at FanDuel. Now, there's FanDuel. Sorry, FanDuel. Let's go to FanDuel. It's winner take all time. The NBA conference finals are set. The NHL Stanley Cup semis and the conference finals are lining up. And FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, do you know what it is? It's America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, where is your hub to get all of the best sports information? Now, I tell you what you should do. You should make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories in sports. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. All right, I'm going to just share one bit of information here. Right now, the number 6 television market in baseball, in America, is the San Francisco Bay Area. Now, that includes San Francisco, Oakland, Silicon Valley, San Jose, and the South Bay, and I believe it also includes Santa Cruz, that whole area. Now, when the A's skedaddle, that region will belong totally to the San Francisco Giants. All right. And right now they're carving it up, and the Giants are probably doing much better than the A's. Okay. Now, a lot of the money to be made is still in media. Still live programming is the only thing keeping cable television afloat these days. And one of these days, Rob Manfred is going to figure out that blackouts are the surefire way to not have young viewers, because people don't sit and watch TV on the TV anymore. That's over. They watch their devices. They watch the laptop. They watch the tablets. They watch the phones. They don't sit and watch TV. So when you black out games from their devices, you are, in all definitions, taking your product away from people. But for right now, this is where the money seems to be coming in some of these contracts and some of the media contracts. And the 6th largest one is now going to be monopolized by the San Francisco Giants. Number 1 is New York. Number 2 is Los Angeles. Number 3 is Chicago. Those are the 3 markets that have 2 teams each. How long will Chicago have 2 teams? We'll see. But right now, they're still one of them. Philadelphia, Dallas. Then you got the Bay Area, Boston, Atlanta. Boston, of course, also includes all of New England. Washington, Houston, Detroit, Phoenix, Tampa. You go down the line. And one of the markets that is in, where is it? I just saw it right here. One of the markets that is I just had it. Okay. That is in the top 20. There it is. Above St. Louis, above Pittsburgh, above Baltimore, above San Diego, above Kansas City, above Cincinnati, above Milwaukee. Number 20 in the television market list is Sacramento. Do you know where Las Vegas is? They're number 41. Do you know what current major league market is smaller than Las Vegas in terms of its reach in the television market? None. They'll go from 6 to 41 now, or 42. I'm not the first person to make this point, but I'll reinstate that where the A's would move to temporarily is 20 spots ahead of Las Vegas. 20 spots ahead. And bigger than several other teams that seem to have a large reach. St. Louis, Baltimore, San Diego, Kansas City. Boom. The Sacramento A's would be, in terms of its media reach, not sharing a top 5 market, or I guess top 6 market. Okay, let's say they won't be sharing a top 10 market. They'll have a top 20 market all to themselves. Okay? How is that just a temporary step while having Las Vegas be the mecca, a city that doesn't want the team, is a mid-level market along the lines of Birmingham, Harrisburg? Is anyone moving a team to Harrisburg? Is it going to be the Harrisburg Reds? I think the Mets are going to move to Harrisburg. They have a larger TV market than Las Vegas. I'm sorry, but maybe, just maybe, Sacramento could work. There is enough land there to build a stadium. There is a population size there that isn't small. It's not gigantic, but you also have people who have been entrenched in Sacramento for a while. And I think that's one of the key things about a fan base. You can't have a city that is just filled with transplanted people and expect them to follow a 162-game season. It's just not going to happen. But you look at Sacramento. Now it says Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto. Essentially all of those desert cities, the ones that George Lucas grew up in Modesto and was so bored by Modesto that it inspired Tatooine and Star Wars. But Stockton, Modesto, you have these towns, these cities that you start to build up, and it creates a little bit of a region. And if you continue to try to market to Oakland and say, hey, it's only an hour and so away. It's like an hour and a half to drive, let's say 2 hours to drive to Sacramento. Again, not really convenient. But if you still root for the A's, then you could say 1 or 2 times a year, you can make that trip. Absolutely, you can make that trip. And you start to see, you can build that. Will the A's be the team of the East Bay? No, but it could be the part of this whole other region, which is growing in population. And you're seeing a lot of people who have lived in the Bay Area or Silicon Valley start to move towards that way because it's not as prohibitively expensive. The Pleasantons and all these other towns that are around there, that could be their team of that region representing them. Sacramento has already supported an NBA team, so it's not like they're the first one to run through the wall there. There's room to build a stadium. There's a great downtown. I love downtown Sacramento. And so here is the question. What are we even talking about Las Vegas for? What's even there? A fan base that they don't want? Money that's not available? A design that isn't there? It is a disaster waiting to happen, and maybe this could be an oasis in the desert. But there's something that the commissioner of baseball has to do with the A's and with another team that could create two franchises that can cater to fan bases that I think could, might, and will support Major League Baseball if they all just decide, hey, why not? Hey, do you know about Prize Picks? It's America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more than and less than on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Now, the baseball season is about 1/3 of the way over. Can you believe it? So don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Pick entries. Whether it's strikeouts, runs batted in, first inning runs, take your pick of more than or less than and add them to the Prize Pick entry of the day. And the basketball and hockey playoffs are winding down. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during the postseason. Prize Picks is as simple and it's easy to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawal, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. And they now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits in your account this basketball playoff season. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Once again, download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. Do you know what? In the end, it's really that easy. This is a reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts at Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channel app. It's funny how the American League, and I did a whole video of this on the Locked On MLB feed, how the American League in some ways got the short end of California in terms of expansion and in terms of the franchises here. The 2 big marquee franchises, the Dodgers and the Giants, took the big marquee teams, Los Angeles and San Francisco. The Angels were always a second thought, and for a while they're the LA Angels, and then they had to be pushed out into Anaheim. And the A's were a second thought, even when they were successful, even when they were winning championships. It was you had San Francisco versus Oakland, and Oakland seemed to be like the smaller of the 2 cities, and because it is, and the less known of the 2 cities because it is. And the National League also wound up getting a 3rd team, San Diego. But the big, huge marquee franchises are National League, and the little brothers are American League. We'd hate to say that, but that's just the case. Well, the Angels and the A's are potentially in a similar situation. And if the A's keep their stadium and decide to relocate permanently to Sacramento, it could create a fan base that is similar to the one that the Angels have. Now, the Angels are nominally the Los Angeles Angels. They're not. They should be called the California Angels or maybe the Anaheim Angels, but whatever. They're called the Los Angeles Angels because of Moreno. And Moreno has done a terrible job running the team. They've had the longest postseason drought, and they've wasted the prime of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani for that matter. And it just seems that the organization itself looks like an absolute cataclysmic mess. Sound familiar? Well, in the past, when the management of a team has gone to the birds, the commissioner has stepped in and made changes. I always go back to the McCourt family. And the McCourts were forced out of owning the Dodgers. And teams were shuffled around their ownership of, okay, Loria, you now own the Marlins. Henry, you now own the Red Sox. There was a shuffling around of ownerships when it was best for baseball because they were buddies with Bud Selig, of course. But having the McCourts driving the Dodgers into bankruptcy 15 years ago to the point where they couldn't sign their players wasn't necessarily good for baseball. And having the likes of a Fisher who mismanaged the team, that's not an opinion, that is a fact. He mismanaged the team to this absolute disaster that they've been suffering right now, where they have no plan, nowhere to go. That should be enough to say, hey, look it, you've ruined the Vegas situation. You've ruined the Oakland A's. You sell the team. And the same thing should happen to Moreno. You've been this is not good to be able to have our marquee player, Trout, appearing in 3 more playoff games than me. And I think it's safe to say the Angels aren't making the playoffs this year. I'm going to go on a limb. I'll go to FanDuel and bet on that. And I think it's safe to say that they're not going to be playing October ball. So you have Mike Trout not playing in the postseason. They can't put their marquee player in the big games. It's not been Trout's fault. It's the team around him. So, right, they should be able to say, hey, we need new management in both of those teams. And if that's the case, if you had good management for the team in Anaheim, and they figure out their stadium situation, because that's about to become a mess, the Angels have a following. The Angels actually draw well. The Angels actually have good TV ratings. The Angels take from Anaheim and Irvine and San Bernardino and all the desert, Riverside, that whole area, everything in between Long Beach and San Diego, they reach their tentacles towards, and they actually draw pretty well, and they have a good fan base. They just don't have any hope because of the management there. But if they had good management and could continue to build the success like they were having at the beginning of Moreno's time as the owner of the team, where they're constantly in the postseason, I think you will see the Angels grow into being a very successful franchise. And I think the same thing is possible in Sacramento. If you have a management that the city says, you're committed to winning here, and you're committed to also reaching out to Stockton, Modesto, hell, Yuba City, Fresno, all those places that don't identify with the Bay Area. That's the thing you have to understand. One of the reasons why Orange County has embraced the Angels is because they don't think of themselves as Los Angeles. That's why it was so stupid to call them the Los Angeles Angels. They don't think of themselves as Los Angeles. They don't want to think of themselves as Los Angeles. And all those different areas, Stockton, Modesto, Sacramento, yes, Oakland, don't want to think of themselves as San Francisco. You could build a fan base there if marketed right, if played to the crowd correctly. It could be a regional pull. And guess what? It's already a better TV market than Las Vegas. What are you going to pull from Las Vegas? What is it, Silver City? Henderson? The 2 dudes walking around the Grand Canyon? So think about it. Put a team in Sacramento, a much bigger media market than Las Vegas. Have the commissioner of baseball say, find owners that will commit. You have, say, Fisher, buy you out. Moreno, buy you out. Find 2 megalomaniacal, egotistical, really freaky people who are thinking, should I run for president or own a baseball team? Buy a baseball team. Run them and get a whole region of fans to come in and love their team. That's the silver lining. That's the silver lining of the green and gold. We'll talk about the games later, but I want to get that off my chest and just say it out loud in no uncertain terms. It's an hour, 2-hour drive. It's really like a 2-hour drive from the East Bay to Sacramento. Go to a couple of games a year, but find new fans there. Remember that concept? Finding new fans? It's possible. So go to Locked On A's on Twitter or whatever it's called now on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Trying to find something positive here, and I think I may have. This has been Locked On A's for the 23rd day of May, 2024. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.